Okay, I just did a video on some bass small modulators and a Blackcat JB-76 aka JB-200 bass. And I had a few people ask me about, well, what about the JB-76 Mobile? You got any of them? And what about them? Well, I have one, pretty clean one too, for a 50-year-old amp. This is a JB-76M Mobile. The RF deck here looks extremely similar to the bass version, and if they're not marked, the markings, this one is a JB-76M. The M stands for Mobile, and they make a JB-76B. B stands for bass, and same thing with the 200. Earlier they called them a 200, then they just changed the name to 76. I don't know why they changed the name, but same thing. JB-200M is Mobile, 200B is bass. But an easier way to tell if it's a Mobile or bass, one, the power supply. This is what the mobile power supply looks like on these, this two-piece unit. And the base power supply on these looks like a JB-12 JB-150 box, and the base power supply has one switch on it, where the mobile power supply doesn't have any switches on it. You can mount this in the trunk or next to the battery, and I think it's at about 7 feet of cord, something like that, and you can run the deck like under your driver's chair or driver's seat, or wherever you want to put it. And the coax went to the deck here, and the power in came from the power supply here. But the JB-76M, the mobiles, had two switches here. So if you see two switches, it's a mobile. If you see one switch on the deck, it's a bass. A lot of people thought, including me for the longest, that they were interchangeable with the power supplies. Like if you had a mobile deck, you can run both the mobile or the base power supply off of it. They use the same octa plug, same two tubes, very, very similar, but you can't. It's just too many differences, so the voltages and stuff that's happening with the base version and the mobile version, that is not feasible or compatible to make it so you can run both the power supplies off the single deck. Actually, this one here I think was given to me because by a local, because he was trying to run the RF deck here off the bass and mobile, and he said, do I think that can be done? I'm like, yeah, I think you can do it. And so I think I gave him or loaned him, I don't remember, maybe even traded a bass power supply, and he plugged the bass power supply into this mobile RF deck here, and he saw this, it let the magic smoke out. Then he had me look at it and say, we thought they were compatible, and I looked and like, no, they aren't, and I can't even it'd be too much work to try to make it compatible, just not worth it. So they are not compatible. The JB-76s does the same thing as a bass does. It's made to dead key 40 watts or less with the variable in the back. I'm gonna turn it off before I pick it up. That's the variable tuner in the back. That's an input tuner slash I guess variable power adjustment. This is what tunes the input that goes into the tubes, and it's set up so that you can have more input going into the tubes or less, and that varies the power out going to the tube. So this does have a variable on it for the watts, and it's made to dead key 40 or less. You can go down, but don't go over. And it'll swing to about 200 peak, a good 100 average. And that's what they're made to do. And then you can go, from 40 watts to about, 2 or 3 watt dead key on these usually. And, you know, 2 or 3 watt dead key to probably swing about 60, 70, something like that. It's a real swinging box, modulator. I think a great driver for, you know, a pair of 3500Zs or something that needs, you know, around a good 100 watts. Also has one tuner here. This is like your tune and load on a regular amplifier. This is the load only. The load tuner here, small variable mica compression trimmer cap. This does have a tune cap internally, but it's fixed. It's not variable. So you can't adjust the tune in it. It's just there, and ain't nothing you can do with it. And that's about all the mansplaining I think I'm gonna do. So we're gonna turn it back on. This thing draws a couple amps in standby, you know, to drive the heaters. And once you key it down is when it, you know, kicks in the high voltage and the rest of the voltage. And it has the squeal that all of these DC tube units have, because the power supply is chopping up the DC into chopped up basically DC, and it puts those chops into a transformer here that's underneath. And these here transistors are chopping transistors, is what we like to call them, because they basically take DC in and they chop it up, and it goes, you know, kind of like push-pull maybe. So that one will chop us, and then that one, and they're going back and forth, and they're doing it at a pretty quick rate. And that rate, that whining you hear, is the frequency of those transistors chopping up that DC into AC, because transformers run on AC, they don't work on DC. So keying her down. Got these 2 watt meters here. This is the input watt meter on a 20 watt scale. So 3 watts in, audio. Whistling to maybe 6. And this is on a 200 watt scale. And it's dead key in 40, audio. Audio. Talking about 80, audio. And whistling to about 125. And you can tell the difference of swing rate between the input here, audio with the mud duct radio on the left, that's the input on the 20 watt scale. Then the watt meter on the right is the output. And last, we're going to unkey her and put it on peak. Audio. And doing about 170 on this one. Audio, not too bad, because that's all that's going into it right there with the mud duct radio. And you can hear that whining from the power supply. Again, that's the chopped up DC. And a lot of these Blackcats had this set to line meter right there, and that line is set to the 40 watts on these. And Blackcat tried to make it mud duct proof, where it's like, hey, set your dead key to that line, or you can go less. But you start going over, you're going to have problems. You're going to start blowing stuff up. And that's what a lot of people do with these small amps. They set them for too many watts, and they do the watts for the minute, and then they blow them up. I don't think I showed what this thing is pulling. But regulated power supply there. This pulling 20 amps when you key this thing down. So they suck a lot of amps, you know. 20 amps to get 200 peak watts. That's a lot of amps. These tube units normally pull a lot more amps than the equivalent transistor do. But anyway, you can't have everything. You want the modulation, the tube audio, the much better sound to me than transistor amps. And especially if you want to drive a bigger amp, to me a swinging box like this is the way to go. And actually these sound very good on their own, but again, you're only gonna get about 200 peak out of this. you know, a little bit more if you had a better radio going into it, but I actually like to dial mine down to about you know, 10-15 watts and let it swing from there. A lot of audio with these things. All right, that's it for my Blackcat JB-76, aka JB-200M, M for Mobile.